Welcome back to our channel, where today we uncover one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of coin collecting and numismatics. A journey that dives deep into the fascinating history, remarkable rarity, and shocking value of a seemingly insignificant 1994 1-cent coin that has defied expectations and astonished collectors worldwide by being worth a staggering $2 million. And yes, we're talking about a penny, the very coin you may have seen or ignored in your loose change. But behind this specific version of the 1994 Lincoln cent lies a combination of rare mint errors, production mistakes, metallurgical oddities, and a compelling backstory that elevates its value into the realm of the extraordinary. So buckle up, because we're diving into every little detail about how this coin became one of the most sought-after pieces in the entire history of American coinage, and why experts, collectors, and investors are ready to pay millions to secure it. And to begin, we first have to understand the context in which the 1994 penny was minted, as it was a relatively uneventful year for the U.S. Mint in general terms, operating as usual out of the major facilities like Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, producing millions of Lincoln cents as it had for decades. But within this normalcy, an incredible mistake occurred. An error so subtle yet so impactful that only those with the sharpest eyes and deepest knowledge of minting processes could detect, and that's what makes this coin so mysterious and valuable, because the vast majority of 1994 cents were produced with the standard copper-plated zinc composition that had been in use since 1982, following the transition from the previously used bronze alloy due to rising copper prices, and by 1994, the copper-plated zinc standard was well established, but somehow, incredibly, a tiny number of these coins, possibly even just one or two, were struck on an experimental or leftover bronze planchet, meaning a blank metal disc made of a previous composition that should no longer have been in circulation or mint inventory, which opens up the possibility that the mint either mistakenly used an old planchet from before the 1982 transition, or someone with insider access introduced a blank of the older alloy into the production line either by accident or through manipulation, both scenarios being highly unlikely, making their occurrence all the more exceptional. And this composition error alone, where the coin is made of a different metal than intended, drastically raises its collectible value. But the story doesn't stop there, because this coin also reportedly exhibits doubling on the obverse, the front side of the coin featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile, most notably on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1994, which numismatists classify as a double die error, a kind of minting anomaly that occurs when the die used to stamp the coin has been misaligned or duplicated during production, leading to a ghost-like shadow of letters and numbers that shouldn't be there. And this kind of doubling, especially when it's dramatic and visible to the naked eye, makes the coin exceptionally rare and sought after, as collectors obsess over such minting quirks, considering them artistic accidents that preserve a snapshot of the mint's mechanical failure, adding both historical and technical interest to the coin. And if that weren't enough, this particular 1994 cent also shows signs of a broad strike error, where the collar that usually holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions or is absent entirely, causing the coin to spread outward slightly and distort its usual dimensions, giving it a flatter and broader appearance that immediately sets it apart visually. And such errors are often discarded or melted down before leaving the mint, so their survival in circulation is practically miraculous. And when multiple minting errors like this converge in a single coin, especially a 1-cent coin which already has limited surface space for such phenomena to occur visibly, the resulting specimen becomes a textbook example of ultra-rarity, pushing it into the elite class of coins that are not only mistakes but perfect storms of multiple anomalies. And when you add to this the condition of the coin, graded at MS-68 red by a top-tier grading service, meaning it's in nearly flawless condition with vibrant, original color, and no signs of wear, you begin to understand how these layers of rarity compound one another, because condition is key in the world of high-value collectibles, and an error coin in poor shape might attract attention, but an error coin with multiple anomalies in near-perfect condition, that's the dream, the holy grail for coin collectors who spend years or decades hoping to even glimpse such a piece. And now you may wonder, How does a coin like this even survive? How does it escape quality control? How does it land in circulation or into the hands of someone who can recognize its value? And while we may never fully know the answers, experts theorize that such coins occasionally slip past inspection due to human error, rapid production quotas, or in extremely rare cases, deliberate retention by mint employees who later release the coin into the market through private channels, which, although illegal, has been documented in previous numismatic scandals, adding a layer of intrigue and mystery to coins like the $2 million 1994 penny. And speaking of valuation, how does 1 cent rise to seven-figure status? And that's where rarity, demand, and auction dynamics intersect. Because once a coin like this is discovered and authenticated by reputable grading services, such as PCGS or NGC, its story begins circulating within collector communities, forums, and auctions, creating a ripple effect of desire, competition, and ultimately, skyrocketing prices, especially when only one known example exists or is rumored to exist, and wealthy collectors, often with personal motivations or portfolio diversification goals, are willing to spend millions to acquire the only known example, or finest known specimen, particularly if the coin has a verified trail of provenance, meaning its ownership history is documented and credible, often increasing the buyer's confidence that they are acquiring a legitimate, unique piece of American minting history. And what also drives up the value is the sheer improbability of another like it ever surfacing, because even if other examples do exist, they may be lost in circulation, melted down, or sitting unnoticed in private collections or piggy banks, their owners unaware of the treasure they hold, which adds a thrilling speculative element to this entire phenomenon, inspiring coin hunters, estate auctioneers, and casual hobbyists to dig through their change jars with new purpose. And this mass interest further fuels the coin's mystique and market value. And let's not forget the role of coin shows, televised auctions, and high-profile private sales in driving up perceived and actual value, as the buzz generated in such venues can tip demand into overdrive. And with coin collecting now more accessible than ever thanks to online platforms, videos, and numismatic databases, stories like the 1994 $2 million penny reach global audiences quickly, transforming a humble piece of pocket change into a worldwide sensation. And while skeptics may question the legitimacy of such a high price tag, especially for a coin that had a face value of 1 cent, the truth is that value in numismatics isn't just about what's printed on the coin, it's about the rarity, the error, the story, and the sheer luck of survival. And when all these elements come together as they have in this case, the result is a coin that transcends its denomination and becomes a cultural artifact, an accidental masterpiece born from industrial chaos. And as we wrap up this exploration, it's worth noting that even today, new errors and varieties continue to be discovered by diligent collectors, proving that the world of coin collecting is very much alive, filled with opportunities for those who pay attention. And if the story of the 1994 penny teaches us anything, it's that incredible value can hide in plain sight, that sometimes the smallest and most overlooked objects carry within them a legacy of mistakes, craftsmanship, and mystery that elevates them beyond money, turning them into historical marvels that capture the imagination of generations to come. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious beginner, or just someone who loves stories of unexpected fortune, this coin stands as a reminder that every penny has a past, and sometimes that past is worth $2 million. And just when you think the world of pennies couldn't possibly offer more surprises, let's shift our attention to another unbelievable specimen that has stunned numismatists and casual collectors alike. The infamous 1998 D1 cent coin, a remarkable and incredibly rare variety that has fetched values nearing the $1 million mark due to an extraordinary convergence of minting anomalies, design transitions, and die usage confusion that make it one of the most fascinating modern coins in United States history. And while the $2 million 1994 cent we just explored was a perfect storm of metallurgical and striking errors, the 1998 D cent is valuable for a very different but equally compelling reason. rooted in the U.S. Mint's transitional phase involving subtle design modifications and the chaotic overlap of production practices that led to a misalignment between intended dies and actual outputs. So let's unravel what makes this 1998 penny so astonishing and how it managed to sneak its way into circulation, carrying a hidden treasure of minting history. Because at first glance, the 1998 Lincoln cent appears entirely ordinary, bearing the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, minted in large quantities at the Denver Mint, represented by the D mint mark. Yet hidden among the masses of these unassuming coins lies a minute and deliberate detail that changes everything: the appearance of a wide AM reverse design, which was never meant to be used on coins struck at the Denver Mint that year, and this subtle design detail revolves around the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin, a change that may seem trivial or even invisible to the casual observer but is considered massively significant in the world of numismatics, because in 1998, the U.S. Mint had begun experimenting with a new reverse design for proof coins, those specially made for collectors with extra sharp details and mirror-like finishes, and part of that redesign involved increasing the space between the A and M, resulting in what's called the wide AM variety, while the standard circulation coins continued to use the older, close AM, reverse design where the letters nearly touched, meaning that for 1998 cents, only the close AM version was supposed to be used, making the appearance of a wide AM reverse on a Denver minted coin a clear and stunning mint error, not one that occurred through mechanical accident but rather due to human oversight, when the Mint accidentally paired a reverse die meant for proof coins or for use at the Philadelphia Mint with circulation strike planchets at Denver, resulting in a hybrid coin that should never have existed. And what makes this so significant is that the Mint keeps strict records and quality controls to ensure that design types are correctly assigned to their intended use, particularly when it comes to transitional or experimental designs. So for such a coin to escape into general circulation means that multiple layers of inspection either failed or were bypassed, further increasing the rarity and desirability of this piece. And only a tiny handful of these 1998 wide AM cents are believed to exist. Some estimate fewer than 10 have ever been confirmed, making it rarer than many known varieties and on par with some of the legendary era coins that have set records at auction. And as with the 1994 cent, condition is everything when determining value, and the few known examples that have appeared in the marketplace have been exceptionally well preserved, often in mint state grades, suggesting they were quickly spotted and removed from circulation by eagle-eyed collectors, which further fuels their mystique and scarcity, because every year that goes by without a new discovery increases the likelihood that the remaining coins have been lost, spent, or degraded beyond recognition, driving collectors into a frenzy whenever a new example surfaces. And while earlier wide AM varieties from 1998, 1999, and 2000 struck at the Philadelphia Mint are known and collected in their own right, the 1998 wide AM is in a league of its own, not just because it's a Denver coin, but because it's the only known Denver Mint wide AM from that period, giving it a kind of unicorn status that elevates it from curious error to legendary rarity. And this is where market forces come into play, because rarity alone doesn't determine value. It's the intersection of rarity, demand, and desirability that drives up the price. And in the case of the 1998 wide AM cent, all three factors are present in extreme degrees, making it entirely believable that a pristine example could command close to $1 million in a private sale or high-profile auction, particularly if it comes with impeccable documentation, third-party grading, and a history of provenance. And what adds to the allure is the tantalizing mystery of how this error occurred in the first place, because while it's widely assumed to be the result of an accidental die swap, some speculate that the reverse die may have been deliberately installed for internal testing or as part of an experimental batch, then unintentionally left in place during a production run, a theory that, if proven, would open up a whole new layer of intrigue into minting practices of the late 1990s, when the U.S. Mint was undergoing numerous changes in design, die production, and quality control protocols, And as is often the case with major coin anomalies, official explanations are either unavailable or vague, forcing collectors and experts to piece together theories from auction records, die markers, strike characteristics, and die polish patterns, which only increases the detective-like thrill of discovering, authenticating, and owning such a coin. And for those who do manage to obtain one, it's not just about money, it's about owning a tangible piece of U.S. mint history, an artifact that represents a moment of human error and design evolution that slipped through the cracks to become one of the most valuable modern cents ever created. And for every one of us who has ever dismissed pennies as worthless clutter, the story of the 1998 DYAM cent serves as a bold reminder that incredible value can reside in the smallest and most overlooked places. That something worth $1 million could be hiding in your change jar, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And as always, the true value lies not just in the metal or the misprint, but in the combination of rarity, timing, collector demand, and historical context that transforms an ordinary coin into $1 million masterpiece. And with that, we encourage all of you watching to keep your eyes open, check your change, and never underestimate the power of small things to hold big surprises, because in the unpredictable world of coin collecting, even the humblest penny can rewrite history. And continuing our deep dive into the astonishing world of rare and valuable pennies, we now turn our focus to another extraordinary and elusive treasure, the 1998 1-cent coin, struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark. That has shocked collectors and experts alike by reaching staggering values up to $750,000 due to a remarkable design anomaly known widely among numismatists as the 1998 wide AM variety. And while it may share some characteristics with the legendary 1998 D wide AM cent we just discussed, the 1998 no mint mark wide AM has its own distinct history, rarity profile, and significance in the evolution of U.S. coinage, earning its place as one of the most important transitional varieties of modern times. And what makes this coin particularly exciting is that its value stems not from multiple overlapping errors or metallurgical oddities but from a single, well-defined design element that was never intended to appear on regular circulation coins from that year. And, once again, the key lies in the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side, where the Lincoln Memorial is featured, because beginning in 1993, the U.S. Mint introduced a new reverse design for proof Lincoln cents, those specially minted with superior detail and finish for collectors, that included a wider separation between the A and M in America, whereas circulation coins retained the older, more tightly spaced, close AM, reverse until the full design transition took place later on. And in 1998, all regular strike Lincoln cents from the Philadelphia Mint were supposed to feature the standard closed AM reverse, but somehow, an extremely small number of these coins were struck using the wide AM reverse die intended only for proof coinage, making them highly anomalous and valuable, and just like its Denver counterpart. The 1998 wide AM Philadelphia cent exists in vanishingly small numbers. Some estimates suggest that only a few dozen to a couple hundred have been identified in the decades since their accidental release, which is an extraordinarily low survival rate considering that billions of pennies are minted each year. And what makes these coins even more intriguing is that their visual difference is incredibly subtle, practically invisible unless you know exactly what to look for, and that's what gives the story its magic. Imagine a nearly worthless coin hiding in plain sight, indistinguishable to most people, but holding the potential to command $750,000 simply because of a tiny design variance overlooked during production. And what's even more fascinating is how this kind of variety likely emerged through a mix-up during the die selection process at the mint, where a reverse die meant for proof coinage was mistakenly paired with regular circulation obverse dies and pressed onto normal business strike planchets intended for everyday use, leading to a limited run of hybrid coins that were accidentally released into circulation before anyone noticed the inconsistency. And while the Mint has never officially confirmed the number of these error coins that slipped through, the few known examples that have surfaced show clear signs of being struck under standard pressure and conditions for circulation strikes. indicating that they were not meant to be proofs or special issues but rather the result of a quiet production oversight that went undetected by Mint staff at the time. And this kind of mistake, while incredibly rare, is not without precedent in Mint history, as similar issues have arisen during design transitions in other denominations, especially when new dies are introduced and the logistics of separating proof and circulation die inventories become complex. And what's remarkable is that these few 1998 wide AM cents escaped notice for years. Quietly traded in commerce, overlooked by millions of hands before eventually landing in the possession of sharp-eyed collectors who knew the key indicators to identify this incredible variety. And that's where value comes into the picture, because once collectors and auction houses began to verify the existence of this error and document its features, particularly the wide spacing between the A and M, along with other subtle die markers like the position of the FG initials near the base of the Lincoln Memorial, it became clear that these coins were not just flukes but part of an extremely limited and valuable anomaly. And as demand surged among high-end collectors looking to secure rare transitional varieties, the price tags began to climb dramatically, especially for specimens in exceptional condition. And when these coins are graded by top services like PCGS or NGC and MS67 red or higher, they can command astonishing prices, with the best examples reaching or exceeding $750,000, particularly when sold in private transactions or elite auctions where rarity is king and buyers are willing to spend fortunes for even the slightest edge in uniqueness. And what's particularly captivating about the 1998 wide AM cent is how it bridges two distinct collector appeals. It has the subtlety and specialization that appeals to era variety enthusiasts, while also having the story and rarity needed to attract high net worth investors looking for rare physical assets with a story behind them. And it doesn't hurt that Lincoln cents are among the most collected coins in the world, with a fan base that stretches from seasoned numismatists to curious beginners, all of whom understand the historical and symbolic importance of the penny in American life. And so the idea that a common, everyday coin can suddenly be revealed to hold such immense value is not just exciting, it's iconic. It speaks to the dreams and possibilities that fueled the passion of collecting in the first place. And what this coin proves beyond a doubt is that details matter, that the smallest deviation from the norm can lead to a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And whether you're searching through inherited collections, flea market finds, or pocket change from the gas station, the dream of finding a 1998 wide AM cent is one that keeps the hunt alive, energizes the community, and sustains the sense of possibility that maybe, just maybe, the next time you flip over a Lincoln cent and inspect the word America, you might spot that tiny gap between two letters that turns a 1-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. Because ultimately, the 1998 wide AM is more than a minting error. It's a symbol of numismatic magic, of the hidden value in ordinary things, and of the idea that history sometimes leaves clues behind for us to find. And with every new discovery, auction, or conversation about this coin, it continues to inspire a new generation of collectors to pay closer attention, ask better questions, and look more carefully at what others overlook, proving once again that even the most routine coin can hide a story worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all you have to do is look.